Hi, welcome to the first of my channel news updates. Not sure how frequent these will be, but whenever important things change, I will keep you up to date. So the first thing I want to do is thank everyone who's watching, especially all of our new subscribers. Now, if you are watching and you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because that kind of feedback is the incentive that I need to keep on doing this stuff. Now, a lot of the channels that I see on YouTube, they kind of put up the names of their supporters and Patreons and people who support the channel. Well, I don't know. I think there's a privacy issue with that, but there you go. And do people really want to see their name in lights? I don't know. But I do have some special thanks for these people who will know who they are. So a big shout out to Adam, Hamza, Peter and Roger, all of whom have been very, very helpful recently in getting some last minute fixes put into the major change that was version 3. So let's have a look. Some of those little changes have percolated through to the 9 libraries that you have to install. I know it's a pain, but it's there's a lot in it. So that's the current state of versions that you should have. So if you do have any issues or problems, please make sure that everything is up to date with those versions before raising the issue. And not much more I can say about that. I'm going to leave that up there for a little while, just so that you can take a look. The ones that I know have changed recently, probably since anybody downloaded it, are the PMB tools, Aardvark, Armadillo, Pangolin, and H4 plugins itself. So, to be honest, they've been mostly minor changes to do with various very rare cases and kind of tidiness of code. So if you haven't got these versions, you should still have a working set, but always best to be up to date. Now then, on to something interesting which was brought to my attention by Hamza. Thanks for that, Hamza. Very interesting point from someone like me that has a bit of a background in IT security. That link isn't going to be particularly easy to read, but I will put the link in the description if you want to follow it up. So some security researchers at Trend Micro have basically been trying to break IoT. And the title of their piece shows you where they're coming from, really. The fragility of industrial IoT's data backbone, because most things use MQTT, don't they? Well, they found a couple of potential holes. One of the holes they found is in a particular thing called the run length calculation in the specification of MQTT 3.1, and I don't know much about version 5, to be honest, but I'm sure it's percolated through there. I'll explain why in a minute. But they also found that the very popular pub/sub client library does actually exhibit that error. So let's talk about why I'm mentioning that, because it could have implications for Pangolin MQTT. Not major implications from your point of view, but just interesting. So a tiny bit of background. You probably all heard of Node-RED, one of my favourite issues. I bang out about it all the time. It was written by a guy called Nick O'Leary. Now, Nick O'Leary works for IBM and was a major contributor to the creation, invention, implementation and specification of MQTT 3.1. Well, MQTT basically. So Nick O'Leary is Mr. MQTT. Part of the MQTT spec has in there an example calculation for run length, and basically that is just so that you can know how long the packet is. Don't get worried too much about the detail, but they found that if you send particularly carefully crafted MQTT topics and or payloads, you can crashed the MQTT server. Now then, bearing in mind that Nick O'Leary was involved in producing that, and Nick O'Leary is the author of PubSub Client, it's no great surprise that PubSub Client uses that example calculation. It's also no surprise that Pangolin MQTT also uses that method, because that's the method that the spec says, and it's the method that PubSub Client says, and so that's the one that I stole, copied, repurposed. So the same potential flaw exists in Pangolin, but what does that mean to you? Nothing really, unless you're going to try and hack and bring down your own server. So it's very interesting, and I will update Pangolin MQTT in the near future to remove that little glitch. Thanks, Nick. No, I can't really. I've huge admiration for Nick O'Leary. I love all of his work. And that brings us finally on to feedback. So I am having good feedback, and I love it. Keep it coming. As I said, that and the subscriptions are what keep me doing what I do. But one of the users says that my audio sounds a bit like I'm living in a box. That's possibly because I am. It's a 300-year-old stone box of an old farmhouse in France. So really there's not a lot I can do about that. I've done the best I can do to reduce any kind of boxy, echoey kind of sound. I'm using a different audio profile on this video, so I'm really interested in how it sounds to you and whether it's acceptable or I need to do something more to improve it. So please let me know in the comments. And finally, where to next? Well, my own plan is to complete all of the outstanding and missing documentation, of course, the fun part. Obviously then complete all of the video series, and there's many to do. So that's going to keep me busy for a long time to come. Now, they don't have to be done one after the other in sequential order. I can kind of interleave them as I am doing. The next thing I want to do is create an installation process to stick those 9 libraries in, because it is a little bit of a pain, I understand that, but there's no getting around it. What I can do is just make it easier. And then once all of that's done, if I'm still alive by then, I'm going to be putting out new videos. So what I want to know from you in the comments is, what do you want to see? What subjects do you think aren't particularly well covered? You need further explanations. What subjects aren't covered at all? And just let me know how you want the channel to pan out. Well, I hope you found this useful and interesting and informative. If so, give it a like, thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and of course if you do want to support the channel in a financial way, then there's the Patreon link, and I'd be very grateful for anybody that chooses to do that. So thanks for listening, looking forward to making your next video.